Today I'm showing you 3 things you need to do before converting to Roth in retirement. Because the worst mistake retirees make is rushing to convert the moment they stop working without understanding where that damages their plan. If you're working with retirees who acted too fast, I've discovered that a Roth conversion is not a tax-free gift. It's a signal to the IRS that says, make this visible now. And unless you proactively run the income benefit and bracket impact, that signal can cost you far more than it saves. That's exactly why I'm making this video today, to show you what to check before you convert so you don't skyrocket your healthcare bill, accelerate into higher brackets, or make a move that didn't need to happen in year one. Let's get right into it. There's this urgency that kicks in the moment someone retires. You've heard for years that Roth conversions are good, and everything in your brain is saying now is the time to act. That logic sounds completely reasonable. I'm not working anymore, my income is low, this must be the perfect window. And that instinct isn't always wrong, but acting on it without checking 3 specific things first can turn a smart strategy into an expensive mistake. A client I met with just last week retired at 63 with about $2 million in their IRAs. They'd done their homework, they understood the basics, and they were excited to start converting. Their first instinct was to convert $200,000 right out the gate because their income was so low. On the surface, that sounds like exactly the right move. But when we actually ran the numbers, we discovered that conversion would have cost them over $5,000 in extra Medicare premiums they didn't need to pay. And it pushed them into a bracket they could have avoided entirely. The money they thought they were saving in future taxes would have been wiped out by costs they never saw coming. Here's what I've learned from working with hundreds of retirees on this. The ones who win at Roth conversions aren't the ones who convert the most. They're the ones who check these 3 things first. So we know that rushing creates blind spots. Let me show you the first thing you need to check before any conversion. If you're retiring before Medicare kicks in at 65, you might think IRMAA surcharges don't matter yet. But here's what catches people off guard. IRMAA, it uses a 2-year look back. What that means is your Medicare premiums in 2026 are based on your tax return from 2024. So as soon as you turn 63, the clock is already ticking on what you'll pay when you hit 65. And these aren't gentle slopes where a little extra income costs a little extra money. These are sharp cliffs. Let me show you exactly what I mean. A married couple who does a conversion that results in a modified adjusted gross income, MAGI for short, and Medicare's most important number, of $218,000 pays the standard Medicare premium. Nothing extra. But the couple next door, who converts a little bit more, landing at $275,000 in MAGI, they pay almost $6,000 extra in Medicare premiums for the exact same coverage. Same doctors, same benefits, but $6,000 more per year just because they crossed a threshold they didn't even know existed. And here's what makes this tricky. A Roth conversion adds directly to your MAGI dollar for dollar. So a conversion that looks smart on paper can dramatically increase healthcare costs in ways that are more damaging than the tax savings you thought you were getting. Until you've mapped your MAGI exposure against these cliffs, you don't actually know what a conversion costs. The number on your tax return is only part of the story. So IRMAA cliffs are the first check, but even if you're an early retiree under age 63, there's a second thing most people get wrong. Many retirees hear from advisors that they can beat RMDs by converting aggressively in early retirement. The logic goes something like this. If I convert everything now while my income is low, I won't have to pay tax rates of 32% or higher later when RMDs kick in. That logic, it sounds right in isolation, but it ignores what your actual projected tax brackets look like over the next 20 or 30 years. Committing to massive conversions on day one treats your retirement like a single decision instead of what it actually is. A 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle that takes 30 years to complete. Now, here's what proper bracket modeling looks like. You project your income year by year from now through your 80s, not just this year. You factor in when Social Security starts, when pensions kick in, when RMDs begin, and how all those income sources stack on top of each other. The goal isn't to convert as much as possible, it's to fill the optimal amount of bracket space every year, all without spilling over into the next bracket unnecessarily. So, what does that look like in practice? Some years you might convert $200,000 because you have room. Other years you might convert $80,000 because that's where the bracket tops out. And in some years, the answer might be zero because other income sources are already filling the right brackets. The retirees who do this well, they spread conversions dynamically across their optimal window, sometimes 15 years instead of cramming them into 5. They focus on tax brackets, not fixed dollar amounts. Now you see why bracket modeling is so important. For those of you tackling this on your own, I put together a free ultimate retirement guide with all the tax brackets, IRMAA thresholds, and planning information you need to map this out. There's a link below to grab the latest version. Here's the third check that changes everything for retirees. If all your money is in pre-tax accounts like IRAs and 401ks, converting has the biggest potential to save on your lifetime tax bill. You're sitting on this pile of money that's eventually going to be taxed, and moving some of it to Roth gives you a tax-free bucket forever. But what if that's not your situation? What if you have Roth assets, taxable brokerage accounts, and pre-tax money? In that case, the correct move, it might be no conversion at all in year one. Asset segmentation means having different buckets that get taxed differently. And when you have that mix, it gives you the flexibility to pull from the right source at the right time without forcing conversions you don't actually need. Think about it this way. A retiree with $2 million entirely in an IRA has completely different options than a retiree with $1 million in an IRA and $1 million in a taxable brokerage account. That first retiree has a tax problem coming for them once they start required distributions. And here's why. Their big IRA is like taking a road trip, staying on the toll road the whole time, and the payment booths are all closed. It feels great in the moment. No payments, no traffic. But the tolls, they weren't gone. They were just temporarily closed. And all of a sudden, once the RMD toll booth opens back up, they're hit with a massive bill. On the other hand, the second retiree has flexibility. They can fund early retirement from their taxable account, keeping their income low while converting slowly over time instead of all at once. So the question isn't just, should I convert? It's, given what I already have, what's the optimal sequence? Many retirees discover that an aggressive conversion wasn't necessary once they actually mapped their existing asset mix. So your existing assets change the math completely. Now, let me show you what happens when people skip these 3 steps. I've seen retirees convert $200,000 in year 1, thinking they were being smart, only to discover they accidentally triggered thousands more in Medicare premiums. I've seen people push themselves into the 24% bracket for 5 straight years when they could have stayed in the 12% with better pacing. The logic for conversion decisions in isolation always makes sense, but every piece of the retirement puzzle is highly interconnected. A decision that looks optimal for taxes might be terrible for healthcare costs. A decision that looks great this year might close off options you'll wish you had 5 years from now. So converting blind means converting without knowing what you're actually giving up. And here's why this mistake is so hard to see until it's too late. The IRS doesn't send you a letter saying you could have saved $40,000 if you'd done this differently. Most retirees, they never realize what they left on the table because they don't model the alternatives. By the time RMDs start and they finally see the full picture, the conversion window has often already closed. The retirees who feel good about their conversions often don't know what they might be missing, but the ones who planned for everything and specifically checked these 3 things first, they sleep better because they converted with confidence instead of just hope. Now that you see what a blind conversion costs, let's bring this all together so you can see the full picture. Before any conversion, map your Maggie against IRMAA cliffs, especially if you're 63 or older. Model your brackets over 30 years, not just this year. and check what assets you already have to see if the conversion is even necessary right now in the first place. Only after those 3 checks can you decide how much to convert. And the answer, it might even be 0 in year 1. That's not a failure, that's a strategy. This isn't about avoiding conversions because Roth conversions, they can absolutely be one of the most powerful tools in your retirement plan. But it's not automatically good. It's a tool that works when used at the right time and the right amount. The signal you send the IRS by converting says make this income visible now. You need to make sure you're absolutely sure you want that visibility before you send it. Now you've seen the 3 things you need to check before converting to Roth in retirement. Map your MAGI against thermocliffs, model your brackets over 30 years, and check your asset segmentation. When you do those 3 things, you stop rushing to convert the moment you retire. Instead, you start making moves that actually work for your specific situation. If you want to learn more about exactly how my team helps implement this for clients, there's a link below. Now, here's what I'd be thinking about next. You might be wondering what your conversion window looks like and how many years you have to take advantage of this. Because the IRS has quietly created one of the most valuable Roth conversion opportunities most retirees will ever see. But the window to use it, it's much narrower than people realize. I break down exactly how to find your window in this video right here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you there.